And we're not going to talk about how the reward I came up for myself is more work. Just don't mention it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just another struggling writer. The Beleaguered Authors one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today is a long time coming because it is the start of another writing vlog. Yes, after almost a month off dealing with illness and mental health struggles, which led me to feel really disconnected from being creative at all, and especially from this project, I'm back. Today is Sunday evening, and actually I should have started this video on Friday because I actually wrote words on Friday, and not just a sentence or two, like almost 400 words. I think it was like 368 or something, but I just had it open on a screen next to me, and I would just tap out a few sentences or a paragraph whenever I had a few moments, and it ended up building up to almost 400 words. And that really helped me feel better about where I was at with the project, because I know that I could still connect to it and write and progress. So unfortunately, I did not film on Friday because I went and saw my kids perform their school musical. My older two children were in Once Upon a Mattress. They performed on Friday evening, and then after that I came home. It was about 8:30, and honestly I just like passed out. I had every intention of filming, every intention of actually continuing with the work and pushing through and doing even more, but I just sort of fell asleep. And that's the second time this week that I've actually done that, so need to keep an eye on that. And then of course yesterday I just lazed about, to be perfectly honest with you. But it is now just about 10 o'clock on Sunday evening, and I'm gonna write. I'm probably not gonna write a lot or for very long. I think I'm gonna set a timer for about half an hour and just see what I can do in half an hour. In a video last week, I mentioned how I don't think I'm going to be setting hard, concrete goals per day, at least not for a while, because I think they were contributing to my feeling overwhelmed, and the guilt of not hitting those benchmarks every single day was just like surrounding the project with like a sort of negative energy that made me not want to approach it, and perhaps contributed to the depressive episode that I slipped into. So like I said, I'm not going to give myself any hard targets today. Like I said, it's just about 10 o'clock. I still need to take a shower and get ready for bed, and I would like to get started on this book that I've been putting off starting for like 2 weeks. So I'm not going to push it unless I get into a flow and I just don't want to stop. I'm not going to give myself any hard targets to meet, but I'm also not going to limit myself either. So like I said, I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes, and I could get 250 words. I could get 500 words. I could blow past that and do 1,000 words. I don't know. It just depends on how I'm feeling. But for the moment, I'm feeling good about the fact that I'm sitting down and doing this at all, because there were moments where I was very tempted to spend my evening lazing about yet again. And I finished editing a video and I was like, you know what, I've got my camera out and I've got this thing that I need to do. And I've been thinking about like filming the intro to this vlog since Friday. And so it's just time. It's time to get back into the rhythm. So welcome to the vlog. I will set my timer and I'll check in with you to let you know how it goes. Okay, I am going to stop it there. I didn't actually do 30 whole minutes. I did about 16 and a half minutes, and I did 356 words, but I'm stopping early because I have come up upon a thing that I have been avoiding thinking too hard about. It's really not that big a deal. I just have to name a certain like section of this department, the secret government agency. All throughout the planning process, in my head, I've been calling it the welcome wagon because it is like the front office, when someone is like discovered to have magical ability, these people make contact and kind of offer resources and whatnot for these people learning this whole new world. And like I said, in my head I've been calling it the welcome wagon, but like I need an actual name for it. And every time throughout the world building process I approached this like subject of like, what am I gonna call this particular department, I completely got like blocked. I could not think of it. So I am to the point now where in the narrative, in the prose, I actually have to call it something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to brainstorm. I'll spend most of the day tomorrow probably thinking on it or coming up with alternatives. If nothing else, I just need a placeholder that won't make me feel icky every time I type it, like the welcome wagon will make me feel. I need something that feels legitimate. So while not the full 30 minutes and definitely not the benchmark of 1,000 that I had set long ago, those things are out the window right now. What's important is that I am restarting the habit of writing on a frequent basis, or at least what I hope will be a daily basis. I got 356 words, which, let's see, to find my exact total from Friday. Friday was 368 words. Hello. Can I help you? Again, what's important is that I'm sitting down and writing, and that I didn't take the easy way out tonight and just skip it entirely, because that's really what I need right now. I've been skipping it because I didn't feel like it for the last month, and I'm not going to feel like it probably for a while because drafting is hard for me. I need to find the like excitement in it again, and I'm not going to feel that until I kind of cleanse the negative aura that I built up around it previously. So I'm going to start small, and I'm going to, again, just try and make it a daily habit, even if it is not super impressive. So that'll be it for tonight. I will check in with you tomorrow. My kids are at their dad's this week, so I should have a lot of opportunity and a lot of time to focus on my creative endeavors. So I will check in with you tomorrow once I've done some brainstorming on this stupid department name that has been eluding me literally for like 6 months. So see you then. Hey y'all, checking in for a quick writing update. Sort of. Last night I left off because I needed to think of a term, a very specific like in-universe term for this specific branch of this department that I've been putting off literally since the beginning of the world building phase. And I did come up with a name. So this like branch of this department, I have been calling in my head the welcome wagon. It is like the portion of this department where someone with magic is discovered. They go out and they kind of do an intake, and they introduce them to the world, and they provide resources and support and all of that. So I've been calling it the welcome wagon in my head. But obviously that does not work for a government agency, like actual name of the office. So I had to think of something, and I came up with something today. I'll be calling it the Education Resource and Support Office, or ERSO for short. All of the like branches of this secret government agency have very, very boring names. And there is a Watsonian explanation for this and a Doylean explanation. If you're not familiar with that concept, Watsonian explanations are like the in-universe reasons, and the Doylean are the meta like reasons, the outside of the actual universe, like the real world explanations. And the Watsonian explanation for this is because this is a secret government agency that has to do with magic, and so if they ever want to talk about what they like their departments or what they do in a context where someone who doesn't know about the secret government agency or magic might hear them, it helps to have a really bland, boring sounding name. So Education Resources and Support Office, or the Law Enforcement Division, is Operational Security Enforcement. You get the idea, just really boring sounding things, nothing like too descript. My explanation for that is yes, that is by design. The Doylean explanation is I struggle with names so much. I don't know how to make it interesting. I found it an immense stroke of luck that I came upon the name for the department itself, which is the Department of Occult Registration and Reconnaissance, and the people who work for the department call it the Door for short. because it's just easier. And I was like, I remember when I came up with that several years ago, I was like, I'm a genius. But literally that is like a 1 in a million chance for me to come up with something that I actually think is clever as a name. I hate naming things. That goes for people. That goes for anything in like a secondary world fantasy that I write, like towns or anything. I hate coming up with names. I'm so bad at it. So while the name that I came up with today does not sound super impressive or interesting or reflective of this cool government agency that has to do with secret magic, it is what it is. So it is now 10:45. And while I don't have to go to bed just yet because I don't have to get up as early because I don't have the kids this week, which means I get a little bit of extra time to sleep in, I don't see myself writing today. I am still having a little bit of trouble feeling connected to the story. Unfortunately, I'm having a little bit of that like siren call of other projects start to nag at me. I'm not going to be abandoning this. I want to finish this for sure because I feel the most prepared to write this draft to completion. But I think the time off that I took and just sort of what I'm seeking in like fiction and like what I want to read is making me feel like more drawn by some other projects that I have that I will write one day, like especially my secondary world ideas. I'm really feeling drawn by a secondary world. I think that's kind of like it's creating interference in my brain to get back into this one. I noticed this last time that my kids were with their dad is like when I come home and I don't have anything else to do, it's like it creates, instead of like being excited to have all this extra free time to work, I just get this sort of malaise instead where I just feel no desire to do anything but use that time to lay in bed. And this occurs in other areas of my life too, where if I ever am home early from work for any reason, even if it's only like an hour or half an hour early, like if I have a doctor's appointment or a meeting ends early or it's a holiday or whatever, if I am home early from work, I am taking a nap immediately when I get home. It's like Pavlovian at this point where it could be 4:30 and if I'm home earlier than I normally would be, it's like I get so tired that like I can't do anything but take a nap. I don't want this to happen, but I can see it happening where I don't have any obligations in the evening. I must use that to rest. I must bank all that extra time to rest. And unfortunately, so I got home at 5:15 today. I don't have to go to bed till midnight. That's like 7 hours of potential like working time, or I mean that I could easily like even like cut in half and work half the time and rest half the time, and that would still be acceptable. And yet like my brain is like, this is unusual. You don't have anything when you normally do have anything. You must take advantage and rest. And I think part of that is because this arrangement where the kids are gone for a week out of the month is so new that I haven't adapted to it yet. And also the first one falling right at the beginning or right in that depressive episode probably made it worse. I did get some stuff done. I finished up a vlog. I got some like housework done. I made dinner and leftovers, so I'll be eating that for the next couple of days. I watched some book-related YouTube videos, which to me it means like I'm still staying engaged with like the creative community, which is not something I did during the depressive episode. So there is positive signs, but as the hours ticked by, I just knew that I don't have words in me today. And there's also a little bit of the fact that I reread what I wrote yesterday and I kind of hate it. It's very info dumpy, and I'm trying to like tell myself it's fine. It's a first draft. Get it out of your head and get it on the paper, and then you can edit it later. But like I keep looking at like the word count ticking up and I'm like, this is too long. Inner editor. But something else I wanted to mention was I went down the rabbit hole while I've been laying here of watching some of my older content earlier this year. And I didn't remember this, but it's really funny. At the end of last year, beginning of the new year, particularly like with my New Year's resolutions, I set myself the goal to write 1,000 words a day and quickly realized that it was not achievable. And so I pared it back to 500 words a day because I thought that would be easier. And then like after a month or two had gone by, I realized that again, that the actual word count goal doesn't matter as much as it is getting in a daily habit. And it's just so funny and kind of sad that I'm just going through the cycles of these realizations over and over and over without actually learning anything. That was interesting. I hope that this really sinks it home for me that I've got to stop putting that pressure on myself to write a certain amount of words or spend a certain amount of time writing every single day, and instead focus more on engaging with the material every day. So in that way, I guess I have achieved that. I came up with the thing that was like forestalling me from moving forward. So now I can write the next paragraph and insert that term and move on. So that's helpful. I just thought it was interesting that like not even 12 months ago, I was going through this exact same dilemma that I have just been going through with 1,000 words a day is too much. Turns out I am not sufficiently motivated by word count. Because I don't have a healthy writing habit in me just yet. I think next week's vlog is going to be more focused on building that habit. I think it would be a good idea to set the same time every single day for writing. I know a lot of writers like to get up early and do it at like 5 a.m. That is not your girl. I cannot do it. I have tried it before, thinking this is genius, the kids aren't up yet, yada yada. I don't function very well before 9 a.m. Really before 10 a.m. I tell everyone at work it's 9 a.m. because that's when our conference call is every day. But really it's like closer to 10. I am not a functioning human being before 10 a.m. That is just how my circadian rhythm has always been as long as I can remember. Even when I was literally 12 years old, I remember laying awake at night when the lights would go out and it was bedtime and I could not sleep. I could not make myself fall asleep. That is just how I'm built. I am built to be awake from 10, 11 a.m. to 2 or 3 a.m. And I'm forced to live the life of someone who has to get up at 6:30 a.m. and go to bed at 10:30. All of that to say, waking up early in the morning is just not feasible for me. So that leaves me with late at night. So next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and carve out, let's start with half an hour. Okay. But it's the same half hour every single day. So let's say 10 to 10:30 or 10:30 to 11. I like that. Let's say 10 to 10:30. And that is the specific writing time. Like how my daughter's swimming lessons are from 7 to 7:30 every Monday. Writing time is from 10 to 10:30 every day, because that daily habit I feel like is more important than the actual output. So if I can sit down at my desk every day between such time and open the manuscript and look at it, maybe that'll help. So that's where I'll leave you for today. I am planning on writing tomorrow, but I'm not going to let myself off the hook. I do think that there are going to be moments where I just need to stop being such a bitch about it and just do it. I have rambled for way too long now, especially since I have accomplished, I almost said nothing. I'm going to be kinder to myself. Very little in terms of in the way of my draft. So I'll let you go here. I am going to try and write tomorrow, and we will just see how it goes. Hello, everyone. It is now Tuesday evening, and today I had a bit of a epiphany and an idea I hope I will motivate myself to write every day. Hopefully we'll solve not just that problem, but also the issue of me being tempted by other story ideas that I mentioned yesterday, the peeking over the fence and seeing that the grass might be greener over there, which is the downfall of every writer, because if you just stop every project that you're working on to start something new, it becomes a vicious cycle, one that I have unfortunately been prey to many, many times over the years. So obviously I don't want to do that again. I'm obviously in the best position to finish this project right now because of all of the work of the last 6 months, right? Of course, right. But I had been thinking a little bit about what am I going to work on once this project is finished. Of course, I'm going to have to revise it probably a couple of times. I'll probably go through a couple of drafts. I'll need to get critique partners and beta readers, and it's going to be a very intensive editing process. I imagine. I've never gotten that far, but I imagine, just based on, common knowledge. I don't foresee myself being satisfied by spending another year or even 2 just on this project. I'm going to need another outlet. That's just true. And I think that is true of most writers, where they start brainstorming other ideas while revising and working on other projects. That is how I came upon this idea on how to motivate myself to write every day while scratching that itch to indulge in other ideas. So basically what I've come up with is twofold. First of all, and this is probably the most important aspect of it, I am no longer going to set a specific daily goal. We already talked about how like a specific word count and a specific like amount of time that I'm writing every day, probably not healthy for me, because if I don't meet them, then I feel bad. And then I attach those negative emotions to the project and then I avoid it, yada, yada. So what I was thinking about today, specifically in the context of this week where I have more free time than usual because my kids are with their dad, so I'm not being tasked with all the extracurriculars that I usually am. So today and the rest of this week looks different evening-wise than next week will. And next week's the holiday, so definitely not next week. But even the week after that, yada, yada. So it occurred to me today that I shouldn't have a goal, like a standard goal that I need to meet every day. I should be sitting down and picking my goal that day based on circumstances and how I'm feeling and anything that comes up during the day, and then just working towards that. Today is a great example. I have the whole evening to myself, as I mentioned, and I knew I needed to edit a video, but that was pretty much the only other thing on my agenda. So when I was sitting down this morning with my planner, when I have my kids, I like to write out an evening schedule so I can most use my time efficiently. Since my kids have been with their dad, I've been trying to maintain that because I'm hoping that that'll help with the mental health stuff. But anyway, so I had the video I needed to edit, but that was pretty much it. Other than that, I could spend the rest of my hours doing whatever I wanted. Obviously, one of those things needed to be writing. So what I did was I said, okay, once I'm done editing, I should have 2 hours where I can sit down and write. And that'll be my goal. I will write today for 2 hours. I'm not going to have a specific word count. I just need to be sitting at my computer for 2 hours and writing. And then what ended up happening was the video took way longer than I expected to edit. It was just more complicated than most of my videos. And so it ended up taking me, instead of 2 hours, it ended up taking me almost 3 to finish editing. And then after I was done editing, I realized that in my little evening schedule that I made for myself, I didn't actually block out any time to eat, which is so typical. So then I had to make myself dinner, and then I had to eat dinner. So what it comes down to is I am actually 2 hours late on getting started on writing. It is almost the time where I would have been done with writing right now. So basically I need to revise my expectations with this writing session. I can no longer write for 2 hours because it's already 10 o'clock. So I'm going to revise my expectations. So I think what I should do instead is maybe write for like 45 minutes. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll write for about 45 minutes. And no matter how many words I get, no matter, any of that, that means I will have met my expectation. If I can sit here for 45 minutes and look at my manuscript and write some words, I'll have met my goal for the day. And I decided that sitting here right now, which means I have a good idea of what I am capable of, what my energy level is like, and what any distractions or interruptions might entail. And I'm fairly certain I can do 45 minutes. So I think going forward, that just needs to be how I approach it. I cannot standardize my writing expectations because my days aren't standard. There are days that are busier than others, both with like actual time blocking, but also just more intense mentally, where I'm just not going to have the mental energy to come home and do a bunch of writing. Like on Thursday, I have a bunch of interviews I need to conduct at my job. That is going to be so mentally taxing because I've only ever done it once. And if it were a regular Thursday where my daughter has music lessons or whatever, I would have to come home and deal with that too. And so I can't have a set expectation every single day because every day in a way has its own challenges and differences that might make meeting that standard. You know what I'm saying? I'm rambling. So that's part one of my new approach. And honestly, I feel a little foolish for not having thought of it before, but we're not gonna go there. Part two is the reward for meeting that goal. I mentioned in a video last week about how to motivate myself to meet my goals, because like the problem right now isn't necessarily that I'm not hitting a specific word count. It's that I'm not sitting down every day and writing. And how do you build that habit and motivate yourself to do it every single day? And what I've come up with, apart from setting more realistic, individual to the day and circumstances goals, is that if I do meet those daily goals, whatever those daily goals might entail, then I will allow myself to start the world building, or at least the brainstorming process for my next project. And if that sounds like I am playing with fire, I feel like you're probably right. It is a little dangerous, and it will take some mental fortitude to stay on task with the current work in progress and not let the shiny new toy syndrome. But I am encouraged by the process that I developed earlier this year with this project, where I'm just slowly sort of doing the world building and not jumping straight into the draft. And I think I can apply that process on an even slower, more stretched out scale to something else while I'm drafting. And that will scratch that itch of wanting to engage in another world and another idea while not taking away from what I'm currently doing. Because like I said, I don't get to do that unless I sit down and meet my writing goals for the day on this project. That's the reward. And we're not going to talk about how the reward I came up for myself is more work. Just don't mention it. And like I said, it could be a disaster. It could be an absolute disaster allowing myself the freedom to do that. But I can't think of any other way to motivate myself to sit down and write every day other than with the idea of more writing. How does that work? So that's where I'm at. It is now almost 10. I will start the timer. I will do 45 minutes. So I will write, and then I will check in with you in a little bit. Hello. It is 45 minutes later, and I have accomplished 705 words. So yay, far and away. I mean, for obvious reasons, my biggest writing day, the last 30 days. I crossed over the 16,000 word mark. At 18,000 words, I will be at 20% of the way through. So excited about that. And yeah, I am doing a lot of good work with establishing and describing, which I'm usually not very good at all, the headquarters for this secret magic government agency. So I'm coming up with ideas on like this place that she's going to spend a lot of time in. So that's helpful and instructive. So it was good work. It was a little bit difficult for me because, as I mentioned, I'm bad at description. It's one of my worst areas. I tend to just write the bare minimum to get myself to the next like interesting part, which is like usually like character interactions. I powered through this part and came up with some good stuff, which will hopefully give me more ideas. Successful writing day. It is now 10:45, so I think I'm going to give myself as a reward for writing for 45 minutes today. I didn't pick up my phone once. It was on the bed, and at one point about halfway through, I was like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? And I looked over. It was on the bed, and I was about to reach over and try and grab it, and I was like, no. I don't need to look at my phone right now. I need to write. So I'm going to reward my good work today with about probably like 15 minutes of second project brainstorming. And I look forward to getting back to it tomorrow. And I will see you then. Y'all, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I have it today. And it is entirely my fault. Because when I got home today, first of all, I got home a little late because I left work a little late. And then like the main road that I take to get home is under construction. So I got home a little late. And then I was on the phone with my dad, and we always get a little rambly. We talk about football and get off topic, and then we have to get back to topic. And anyway, so I really didn't sit down to start my list of desired goals for the evening until like 6. And when I sat down, instead of reading like I had intended on, I guess I did read. I read a lot of Am I the Asshole threads on Reddit. I did that for like 2 hours. And then I read, which took like 2 hours. I have started a book that I am trying to read very, very closely and annotate. And it also so happens that this book has a lot of complicated ideas in it. I'm really liking it, but it took me a long time to get through the first 10%. So I am getting to my computer. Well, I guess it's not that much later than usual. It's 10:30, but I feel very tired, and I don't know how much I have in me today. On my list of goals that I wrote down this morning for this evening, I had intended to write for 2 hours. And then I wasted 2 hours. But I did have to start that book. I've been trying to get that book started for weeks. This is your time, your space. I promise you, I'm not trying to farm my cats for content. They're just like this. Was that strictly necessary? All of that to say, yes, I centered reading today instead of writing, which is something I said that I was trying to avoid. I really needed to start this book. That's what I'm telling myself. I have been like saying I was going to start it for at least 2 weeks, but really even longer than that, if I'm being honest. I think I'm going to write for about 20 minutes. I think that's what I am capable of today. And I also have I realized yesterday? I don't know. I think yesterday helped me realize that reading and writing are they're not smart goals, are they? Whereas doing something like filming and editing a video is a smart goal because it is specific, measurable, and whatever the other things are. And the point is they're very the specificity is the point. I have to sit down and film this video and talk about X thing, and then I have to edit this video so it can go up at this time. And so yesterday, I had no problems at all getting to my tasks because the very first thing I knew that I needed to do was edit that video. And it ended up being way more complicated and taking up more of my time than I thought that it would. But the point is that I knew it needed to be done, so I sat down and did it. Whereas doing something like reading or writing, it's just so vague. And some of that's by design. We talked about yesterday about setting a goal each day that is specific to that day for my writing based on how I'm feeling and the circumstances and all of that. And reading, I kind of don't have any goals because I'm trying to decenter it. So when I write down in my list of things that I want to get done this evening, read, write, whatever, it just feels very intangible enough that my brain is able to ignore it as something that's not important. So I've got to work on that. And I am sitting here talking to you. I do have my computer open in front of me. I haven't the foggiest idea what this next sentence is going to be. I think that's part of the reason why I stopped here last night. I was out of time. I think I had 3 minutes when I hit this line last night, and I stared at this for a while, and I was like, I don't know how to proceed, and I'll just sleep on it. And I looked at it all day. I had it open for most of the day, and nothing came to me. And I'm looking at it now, and nothing is coming to me. That being said, this is not a situation where ignoring it or sleeping another night on it is going to help, because I did that. That means that I've just got to suck it up and do it. It's a bash my head through sort of blockage. So I'm going to sit here. I'm going to write for about 20 minutes. I'm going to try and get myself to the next movement of these characters, the next conversation. That's my goal. I want to get myself unstuck, I guess, is the goal. And if that means it's 100 words, great. If it's 500 words, even better. Unsticking myself is the goal of the moment. So I also know myself well enough that if I set my timer, my phone is over there again, no phone, and I come up with nothing, that prolonging it and staying up for another half hour when I'm already tired isn't going to help. So a hard line, 20 minutes, let's get to it. Okay, it is 20 minutes later, and while it did take some serious head bashing to get through it, I ended up with 214 words, and I am leaving off in a place where I feel much better about picking it up again tomorrow. What I don't feel super great about is this chapter as a whole. It is extremely long and has quite a bit more to go, but I am not going to really stress about that too much right now, because it is useful to me. Even if some of this or a lot of it or all of it gets cut later in revision, it is instructive to me. I am teaching myself more about kind of the lay of the land of this government agency and establishing further connection between the main character and the man who will be her partner or her handler. So it's useful. So I'm not going to stress about the word count. It is absurdly long. I expect that this chapter will probably be between 5,000 and 6,000 words when I'm done with it, just based on my outline. Obviously, I think I can and should probably break it into 2 chapters, but again, that's a problem that I don't need to worry about right now, because ultimately, it doesn't matter right now. This is all going to get revised. That's where I'm at, 214 words. I'm not going to reward myself with writing or doing any brainstorming in that secret project that I mentioned yesterday, because my original goal was to write for 2 hours today, and instead of writing for 2 hours, I was on Reddit. My punishment will be not doing that, not working on that thing. And instead, I will just go to bed. Darn. I have now written 2 days in a row, and 3 out of the last 4, and 4 out of the last 6. I'm trending upwards. I would like to see 3 days in a row, but that will have to go into next week's vlog. So for this vlog, I have 1,634 words. I have officially crossed over the 16,000 word mark. And again, I wrote for 4 days, which again is improvement across the board over the last 30 days. My grand total is 16,769. We will see, but right now I am trending to overshoot 90,000, which was not what I expected at all. I've definitely made up the ground of the previous chapters that were a little bit short. Happy with that. And so that is the end of this vlog. I hope to be vlogging every single day next week as I continue to kind of get back in the habit. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your patience. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your encouragement. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for your likes. Thank you so much for your subscriptions. If you're new here and you like my content, please like and subscribe. In my next video, I intend to have a reading vlog where I am annotating a book with intention for the first time. That was the book I started today, which is why I needed to start it today, because I really want to get this video done. The book I have chosen for that vlog is The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Muller, and it is so interesting. So I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then.